All right, good people, welcome to the final part of the series, How to Overcome the Summer or Seasonal Slide in Your Life, Career, or Business. And we are jumping into part four of, well, let's do a small recap. Is redream, realign, reinvent, and realize. So part four is realize. And if I'm going a little quicker, it's because it is about to storm here. So I want to make sure I get this in. So very quickly, we talked about all of that. Go back to part one because they all build on each other. But I do invite you to go watch them again because as you hear my order, thunder, you may go and shift the order of these things. So this is not like you have to do it in this order. You do what works best for you. So the definition of realization. So realize, but I'm looking at it as realization in the context of what we're talking about to get yourself out of this slump or sliding back, forgetting the things that you knew and to gain that momentum. And then I had to put myself in summer school so that to make sure that I don't slide back any further than I did, based on some external circumstances. So I was like, okay, no, we're gonna get it together. So the fourth part that I did, and this is a cycle, but this is kind of where I landed, and it's the realization. So one definition is to become fully aware of something as a fact or to understand clearly. And realization means fulfillment or achievement of something desired and anticipated. So the lessons that I took from this as I was coming out of the slump and putting myself into summer school and finishing my version of summer school, just where I did more investing in my coaching and mentorship, that I came across three lessons. So identity, expectation, and ownership. So this is what we're going to talk about. So when you get to realization, we're going to talk about identity, expectation, and ownership. And so identity, once you get to this part and you're going back and you're back and in alignment with your dream and you've done the true reinvention that you needed to get there, then you have to become the you have to become the dream, right? Become the person who has already achieved the dream. Yes, it sounds cliche, fake it till you make it, but it's not really that. It is acting as if, it is talking as if, it is thinking as if you are in that position right now. And we talked about ways to do that. That's why you go back and watch the previous videos. Now you become that person. You realize that before you achieve the dream, and the goal. And the reason why I keep saying dream, because we have to go just beyond our goals. Sometimes our goals should be stacking up towards, well, I believe our goals should be stacking up towards that bigger dream and that bigger version where we leave our stamp, where God says, well done, thy good and faithful servant. Whatever he's called us to do, you have maxed it out. So everything that we do, everything that we accomplish is moving towards that. But we are always becoming that in person, not the goal, but that in person. And so that is you identify as, and you may have to do some identity work here. I have done that, so I was able to go back and like, okay, you did this before. Remember, this is her. Go be her, right? So it's not like you may not be able to see like, well, let's say you run this billion-dollar corporation or have this billion-dollar company, you may not be able to fully grasp that. But in this day and age, there are so many videos, books, resources to where you can pick up on how these people are acting, thinking, and talking, and you can uh, align yourself, like be take up those characteristics and habits, right? You ask God to lead, don't be picking up no weird stuff, right? But just in all reality, first as a Christian you become in the image of Christ. We know that. But don't get so high heavenly minded that you're no earthly good. I think that was a phrase. Yes, you do want that, but the Bible also talks about practical characteristics of successful people and the way successful people thought and behaved and the things that they did, the types of businesses they had, the family they had, the conversations that they have. So let's take that version as well, and you become that. And something you do daily where you're always becoming. So you have to realize a new identity and be that person right now. Even if you don't have it, you become that person. And if you're still alive and you already have this billion-dollar or multi-billion-dollar company, you're still breathing for a reason. So what is your next level and who do you have to identify as and become for you to start be at that realization period where you have fulfilled that thing and then you're moving to the next. There's no stopping. So that's another thing I had to remember in this realization period. Like you're realizing it right now. So for God, it's already done. If you truly believe that, if it's already done, you get to act and think and be as if. So we're just in this natural realm, but supernaturally, it has already happened. The moment you thought it, it was already done because if God gave you the desire, He already saw the end. So you get to act and identify as that person now. Part two was expectation. And I can break this down later because in my summer school time, I learned a different approach to expectation. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was expecting, and I was not. I was in this slide because of the expectations had been low, and I saw this with multiple people as well, kind of in another group. And I know this may sound bad, but I was like, my expectation not that low. And that's why sometimes you do have to put yourself around other people, not to judge or anything, but it wakes you up a little bit. It's like, oh, well, I didn't slide as, too far back as I thought. That's just, maybe that's me. Comment down below if you ever felt that way. It's like, oh, I'm not that bad. You're not judging that person, but it's like, okay, I was hard on myself, right? And I shouldn't have been. Anyway, so you have this expectation of whatever that dream is, and you can have multiple. Like sometimes you will have dreams that you will accomplish in your lifetime. And then there are times where you have dreams that you're just setting the foundation and you're building the legacy. So you have to expect it and anticipate that it will work out. A lot of us have anxiety over anticipation, like, oh, that's good. Like, I want it to happen. I can't wait. A lot of us have the anxiety. Oh my gosh, what if it doesn't work out? Oh my gosh, it is not going to happen. What if it doesn't happen? And then so that's we're not expecting, and that's where we fall into the slump. But if you remember, all of this is really about faith that anything is possible and is possible for me. And then, for believers, we should have this extra boost, right? But either way, you still have to expect things to work out and to know that your dream will be realized. It technically already has been realized. And you have to understand the concept of reaping and sowing. It is not always a bad thing, like you reap what you sow. And that may sound bad, but that's a good thing. If I've been sowing in all these habits and attitudes and action steps and all of the things, doing all of my inputs, I naturally get an output. If those inputs have been going in the right direction and they've been the right inputs, I get the right output, right? A lot of us, and I'm using a school analogy, and I keep looking up, make sure no lightning comes this way. A lot of us, I know for me and a lot of people that I know, we were kind of brainwashed to go to college. And it was the type of programs we were in middle school and high school. It was the activities that we were involved in. I used to go on the college tours. I spent weeks at, college campuses before I got there, like staying away. Those were my like summer camps or spring break trips. So we were always in that because the expectation was one, let's go back, the identity part, we were already college students in middle school and high school because we had already owned that. Expectation part was that is what you go to do. Like when people say, I didn't know you had an option when you graduated high school to just go work or go to a career or do anything else. It was you go to school. That was an expectation. Once you got in there, you're going to graduate and get a job. That was an expectation. And then so for some reason, when we're going after another goal, or I mean, another dream, because going to college and getting a degree was a dream, getting a certain career was a dream. But then what's your next dream? What's your big dream? And you're falling flat because you're not expecting. There's nothing for you to identify with or expect. And so you don't have any anticipation. So, it's not big enough for you to hold on to. For a lot of us in elementary, middle school, like, oh my gosh, college, it was so far out, right? And that's when it's a huge celebration of when you finally did it. And you can insert whatever. It may not be college for you, but it's something, right? So now you have to do that again and again, raise up your level of expectation. Lesson number 3 that I realized was I had to come back and to own it. A lot of these things you see in front of it, redream, realign, reinvent, and realize, right? This is because I know for a fact that a lot of you have done these things before, right? You had the big dreams. You worked on your alignment, and you may not have called it alignment, but you worked on yourself, and you change it. You did all these things, but then it's like, well, what? Now you just have to, do it again with a new lens and a new perspective. So ownership. And this is where I talked about owning it. And part of one definition of ownership is to take possession, uh, is really to take possession. That's what I wrote down. I believe that we are all CEOs of ourselves, chief executive officers of our own universe. Now, don't get so deep with me. God is God, like not universe, right? And he gave us dominion over this earth, this right here. This is what we run. We are the CEO of this. We get our direction from God, but this is our domain. Go read it in the Bible. So I had to remember a lot of us be praying to God, oh God, fix this situation. Oh God, do this and that. So I was like, I gave you power and dominion. It's in Genesis 1. That's what you do. You own that and you act and you take charge. We've all had these experiences where we know, like we know in certain areas of our lives. But when it comes to the really big goals and dreams, we forget about that. So we have to remember that we are already the boss, the mogul, the CEO, and we own it. Everything that we do, we have to come from that place of ownership and taking possession of that. We hold every thought captive. Take every action and decision, even if it doesn't end so well, but we still own that, and then we keep moving forward. So that's part of realization. And I'm going to stop right here because it is lightning. But I really hope that resonated and landed with you when we're talking about realization. I'm going to recap really quick. The definition of realization was to become fully aware. It's all really about the self-awareness and what are you doing with that self-awareness, and um, understand clearly about what you are doing and where you are going. And you may not know every single thing, but you should have that end target in mind. I want to be the not residential, real estate mogul. I want to end world hunger. I want to have this $100 million coaching and consulting business, or I want to impact 1 billion people. You all heard mine, bankrupt 1 billion burial plots. I don't know where I'm going to do that. I don't know, but that's the target. And then I can take steps towards that. And then, so that's not something I'll see in my lifetime, but I can see 1 million, 10 million, right? Lord willing, extend my life. So the realization, fulfillment or achievement of something desired or anticipated. And then we have to get back to the identity of the person who has already accomplished that dream. We have to have the expectation that we are fully equipped to do what we need to do. And if we don't have a certain level of mindset, skill set, or tool set, God has already orchestrated people to connect with us to help us with that. So technically, we still already have what we need, even if it's through another person. And then ownership, you have to own that. People who are bosses and who run things, there's a certain trait and je ne sais quoi that they have, and there's nothing stopping any of us from doing that. I believe the reason why we don't is because we're not really bought into the dream or desire that God has placed in our hearts. We're still kind of guessing, and that's another conversation for another day. But these are the lessons that I've learned to really overcome this summer slide. And if you're not watching this during the summer, there could be a period of your time where you just kind of just slid back. You forgot who you were. You're not acting as if, and you're just back in this place of it is not working for me. You're stuck. And you're like, oh my gosh, I know that. I case studied myself. I got back into summer school and I pulled myself out of this. You may not go into summer school, but you may need to go and, be in a mastermind or get yourself some digital or cyber mentors and really, anchor down on, certain things. And I may break this down even more, but you can start by one thing you can do, and until I break this down even more, start with Master Coach U. It's a library that I break down into 4 different zones, and it starts kind of the groundwork for you. And it's similar to, like, that's my work, and I looked at it, and now looking back on it, I was like, this is similar to what I talked about here. So I had already built a foundation to where I didn't slide fully back, but I still that's the foundation that I had, right? So a lot of times when we don't have to, we've gotten to a certain level. Let's say you're at level 75, and then you had some upset in life. You're not supposed to drop back down to level 0 and have to climb all the way back up. You want to have enough foundation, and your roots should be so deep that if you're at 75 and life happened, then maybe you just go to 60, or at the lowest, like maybe 50, but never crashing back down. So in Master Coach U, I talk about that in the 4 zones. And then I also want you to stay connected for the virtual event that I have coming up, where I will expand upon this framework and other frameworks. And reinvention is part of that. And you can connect with me down below. So if you made it to part 4, let me know your biggest takeaway out of all of the series. And also let me know if there's anything you want me to expand upon, have a masterclass or workshop on, or something that you want me to take a deeper dive with. All right. Thank you so much for listening and learning with me. And wherever you are, whether you're beginning your day or ending your day, remember to be well, to be empowered, to be bold, and to be brilliant. Until next time.